Control by New Haven. Denny LaRocque on left wing at center, wrapped it off the boards behind the Jacks goal. Albrecht sends it around the boards on left wing for Charlie Meitner at his own line, steering to center zone. Silta steps back in over the ball on right wing, but Craig Duncanson, still in a forechecking mode, was late leaving the zone, and he's offside in the center end for the Hawks. That'll produce the face-off at the 14-second mark, barely outside the Skipjack blue line, below us on their left wing. Lomo and Siltala will be the principals. All ready to go. One by Lomo, collected at the Baltimore line by Julian. In the middle at center for Lomo. He sends Charlie Martiner charging after it deep in the New Haven left wing corner behind the goal for Lomo. Left it there for Meitner. Meitner really wedged off the play by Farish. Now Farish behind the goal to control it. Up on right wing, right in the circle for Krakiewski. That was dangerous with Armstrong bearing down on him. And that eludes him to center zone, where Cliff Albrecht launches a rocket over the glass into the crowd behind the New Haven goal from outside the blue line on the left side on the Skipjack defense. So that'll produce a face-off right at that locale, barely outside the New Haven blue line, below us on the Skipjack left wing. The newcomer Chuck Brimmer inserted on left wing again with Steve Sagan at center and Doug Shedden on right wing. Brimmer was impressive. He showed excellent on-ice presence, awareness, and instincts in that third period when the Jacks were under siege. From the faceoff, Brian Tutt in front of his own goal, aims it up the middle at center for Climo. His pass halted at center zone by Sagan right wing. Steve Sagan rolls it in behind the New Haven goal. Tracked down by Brian Tutt. The former Maine Mariner and Kalamazoo wing will start out. Now a long lead up the middle at center for Bob Kudelski. Beyond him all the way down ice. But they'll nullify icing. Bannerman steps out of the goal, drove it around the left wing boards at his own line for Sagan. He poked it to center as he was being checked by Tutt, pinching him from the point. At center zone, Deneen follows up. On right wing for Shedden, never made it there. That was halted by Steve Kleinbo, and the rookie from Brown University drove it behind the Baltimore goal. Bannerman ladles it to the right corner for Kennedy, up the boards for Shedden, in the middle at center for Sagan at the New Haven line. Shedden, or the shot by Sagan. Janisic the save. Rebound in the right circle of the Hawks. Control by LaRocque, sailing it to the Baltimore line. Gagne on the right defense. Now wing, Gagne at center. Crunched along the boards by DeFazio, who was really jolted at center by Perkins. Back come the Jacks. Tim Driscoll at the New Haven line rolled it right in on goal. Swept away by Janisic to the left defense for Dave Farish. Farish lugging to center. Farish over the Baltimore line. Top of the right circle. Overpowered by Hoover, who dropped him in his tracks. Puck deep in the Baltimore left corner. Covering is Terry Perkins, who's assisted on the last 5 Jacks goals. He drove it to the blue line. Farish tried to hold it in by steering in front of the goal from center point. Knocked down by Hoover. Collected in the left corner by Gagne. He'll seek refuge with it behind the goal. Up the boards at center for Perkins, who hits the New Haven line. Skated off on the defense by Germain, and back come the Hawks. At center, Peter Praisler. Over the Baltimore line on right wing. Praisler swooping in behind the goal. He tried to force one in on the short side, and Bannerman the save. The rebound at the right point, Tutt fired, and Bannerman caught that one, and he'll secure it. No further play. We played 2:39 of the opening period, and the game is scoreless from the Baltimore Arena, where the Jacks have a 5-15-4 record this season, but are currently mired in a 3-game losing streak at home. Faceoff will be circled off to Bannerman after Scott Gordon was in goal for the Skipjacks' last 3 games. All ready to go, Lomo and Siltala. Control by Lomo behind the goal for Julian. Along the left wing corner boards for Meitner. Now Meitner forced back behind the goal by the forechecking of Mike Siltala. And Siltala and Duncanson had Meitner surrounded, and Meitner is clearing pass along the backboards, deflected off Duncanson and sailed over the glass into the crowd. So that'll force a face-off outside the Skipjack blue line. It'll be below us on the Jacks' left wing. 17-14 left in the opening period, and the game is scoreless from the Baltimore Arena. From the face-off, wiggles inside the Jacks line, on his knees, Duncanson directs it in behind the Jacks goal. Gagne is on it. Wayne Gagne at his own line, motoring the center, he drove it into the New Haven right corner. Covering the carom in front is Tutt. Chased him behind the goal by Meitner and Lomo. Now Tutt fired it past Gagne at the right point, down ice. They'll negate icing. Bannerman out of the goal. Drove it around the boards on left wing for Meitner at his own line. He just wrapped it through the legs of Tutt at center zone, and it rolls on its edge all the way behind the New Haven goal. Tutt hurries after it with Armstrong in pursuit. Brian Tuttle on the left wing, corner boards for Duncans. Now back the other way on the right side for Germain. Jammed by Meitner. They jostle for it there in a vigorous fashion. Contained left point by Albrecht. Now Albrecht tried to steer one in front for Lomo, and Siltala was there to cover up, leaving it right in front of his crease for Tutt. Now Brian Tutt is underway. Tutt on left wing at center. Over the Baltimore line, thundering through the left circle into the corner. Behind the goal for Kudelski. He leaves it there at the backboards for Krikusti. Now Krikusti try to poke it back into the corner, and Lomo was there waiting for it in the Jacks' right corner. Now Lomo had his pocket picked along the boards by Krikuski, but Lomo recovers it and clears to center, where Duncanson drove it to the front of the Baltimore goal. Albrecht controls. On right wing at center for Armstrong, who sails one over top of the New Haven goal. It deflects to the left boards for Brimmer. Brimmer was jolted by Farish as he centered one all the way through, and is controlled on the New Haven left wing. Blamo darts it over the Baltimore line, shooting muffled on the defense by the Skipjacks. Albrecht, who sends Shedden on his way on right wing at center over the New Haven line for Sagan. Now Sagan dishing left corner for Brimmer. Brimmer centers into the crease and he scores! Chuck Brimmer. Chuck Brimmer charged after it. He chased down that puck that was fed to him in the left corner by centerman Steve Sagan. And Brimmer from deep in the left corner just drove a centering pass into the crease, and it deflected off a rather startled goaltender, Bob Janisic, at 4:39. It'll probably be Brimmer from Sagan and Shedden at 4:39. And the Jacks are staked to an early 1-0 lead on Brimmer's first pro goal. From the faceoff, puck in the Jacks' right wing corner. Shedden is pinned there by Bob Kudelski, the rookie from Yale. No further play. Chuck Brimmer's first goal as a pro, 6'3", 210-pound center, who's now playing on left wing with Sagan and Shedden. The latter two receive assists at 4:39. The Jacks this season, when they score the game's opening goal, have posted a record of 6-17-3. Face-off circle right of Bannerman, Jacks goal. 15:03 left opening period, and the Jacks have been staked to an early 1-0 lead. From the face-off, on the left point, LaRock fired, kicked into the crowd by Bannerman in rapier-like fashion. No further play. That time Sagan was victimized on the face-off by the New Haven centerman Kudelski, and he directed it to the left point, and Denny LaRock really uncorked a sizzler, and Murray Bannerman, who appears razor sharp early after a brief respite over the last several games, kicked that one over the glass into the crowd along the Baltimore left wing boards. Faceoff will be to the left of Bannerman. Sagan Kudelski one more time. This time Sagan claims it. Now Sagan on the left wing boards for Sean Deneen. Now Deneen trying to fight off the check of Kudelski, who cracked him down from behind, but Sagan covers up behind the goal. He was checked behind the goal by Kudelski, who rolled it to the doorstep, and Sagan was there. Now Sagan left wing at center for Brimmer. Rinkwad on right wing for Shedden. It was airborne at center, knocked down by LaRock, who drove it to the side of the Jacks goal. Bannerman himself flung it up on left wing in his own line for Brimmer, romping to center. Chuck Brimmer over the New Haven line. He rolled it right in on goal, and Janisek will place his left paw on that one, with Doug Shedden closing in dangerously at the doorstep for the Jacks. 14:25 left opening period. Brimmer from Sagan and Shedden at 4:39, launching the Jacks into an early 1-0 lead. The face-off will proceed. Circle right of Bob Janisic, the former Chicago Blackhawk and Los Angeles Kings goaltender. Perkins and Hubie McDonough, the latter a second-year pro from St. Anselm's College in Division II. He played last season with Flint in the IHL. Won by Perkins. Now Perkins tried to direct one in front for Driscoll, halted by Tutt. Tutt in the middle at center for Praisler, and he was really thumped to the ice by the hip check by Gagne, but it's loose in front and they score. They score, and the game is tied 1-1. And the goal-getter for New Haven is Hubie McDonough. And the game is tied 1-1. That's a big goal for New Haven because it comes a minute and 10 seconds after the Jacks had achieved a 1-0 lead. But this has happened many times to the Jacks this season. They are immediately stung after achieving a lead or after scoring a goal. Hubie McDonough connects for New Haven. And for McDonough, his 14th of the season. He had 27 last season in Flint. Now McDonough again at the Baltimore line from the face-off, fired, and Bannerman kicks that one over the glass into the crowd. No further play. McDonough from Dean DeFazio, the former skipjack, at 5:49. You may recount DeFazio left Baltimore a very bitter man, and he took some very, shall we say, rather unseemly remarks in the direction of the Skipjacks. And the Skipjacks organization didn't care for it too much because they did a lot for Dean DeFazio's career when he was here. Now from the faceoff, along the right side, Terry Perkins at his own line will start out for the Jacks. Perkins at center, skidded off from behind by Praisler, but it comes back to Perkins at the New Haven line for JF. No, but Tim Driscoll was way offside on right wing for the Jacks. No further play. Well, let's recap what transpired in the last minute 10. Brimmer's first from Sagan Shedden at 4:39, and that staked the Jacks to a short live 1-0 lead, and then 70 seconds later at 5:49, Hubie McDonough notched his 14th from Dean DeFazio, and this game is deadlocked at 1-1. The faceoff will be outside the New Haven blue line across the way from us on the Skipjack right wing. Lomo won it, controlled at the center red line by Claude Julien. Julien on right wing rockets it around the New Haven backboards all the way to their right side, where LaRock backhands past Meitner to the Baltimore line. Control by Julien. In the middle at center for Armstrong, powering his way over the New Haven line, left circle. Armstrong fired, kicked out by Janicic to the short side. Rebound on the New Haven right boards for LaRock. In the middle at center for Duncanson, it jumped over his stick to the Baltimore line. Julien hoists it to the New Haven line, and Dave Farish just gloves it to center circle. Controlled by Meitner. Over the New Haven line for Lomo, the drop pass right circle for Armstrong with a shot right on. Janicic the save. Rebound left boards. Albrecht from the point, pours in and fires. That one's right through the crease. Rebound right corner for Armstrong. Behind the goal for Lomo. Lomo centered it right in front. Meitner tried to spin off the check of Siltala on fire, but Siltala blocks it and clears to center zone, where Lomo drove it back into New Haven territory. LaRock chased into the corner by Meitner. Denny LaRock drove it around the left wing boards for Craig Duncanson. Duncanson at his own line skirts the check of Shedden. Duncanson to center, romps in over the Baltimore line, swerves through the right circle, right in front for Krikuski, and Shedden deflects his shot harmlessly behind the goal, where Deneen turned it over to Siltala, who rolled one into the crease, knocked back behind the goal by Bannerman for Sagan. At his own line on right wing for Shedden. Doug Shedden backhands the center as he was being forechecked from center zone. Paul Kelly fired in behind the Baltimore goal. Deneen dishes to the right corner for Julien. In the middle at center for Chuck Brimmer. He couldn't catch up with that. Brian Tutt was there. Now Tutt wheels in over the Baltimore line along the right wing boards. Skated off by Sean Deneen on the defense, and Deneen to fire it down ice. Reached behind the New Haven goal by Eric Germain, and the Jacks are charged for icing. A break in the action. 12 minutes left first period. Jacks 1, New Haven 1 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network. Now back to the play behind the Skipjack goal. Bob Kennedy steered it along the boards. That's halted along the boards by Kelly. Kelly to the left point. Now for Kudelski, shooting. Bannerman the save. Murray Bannerman directs it up on left wing for No, and JF No just banked it off the boards down ice. Janicic in his own right circle sails ahead to his own line for Paul Kelly. Jolted by Perkins, who steals right in front for Driscoll with a shot. Kicked out by Janicic. Rebound right boards for Perkins. Now Perkins was checked there by Germain. Seized in the right corner though by No. No was checked by the referee Blasky, but is contained left point by Hoover, and he fired one way wide. Rebound up the New Haven left boards for Climo, clearing to center. Control by Hoover for Perkins, center circle, backhanding to the New Haven line. Knocked down on the right defense by Tutt, who rolled it into Baltimore territory. Hoover controls that. Across to the right circle for Wayne Gagne. Gagne in the middle, crisply at center for Shedden. Over the New Haven line on the left wing for Chuck Brimmer. Right in front for Perkins with a shot. Big save, Janasek. Rebound left point for Hoover. Drove it in behind the goal for Shedden. Now Doug Shedden to the side of the goal. Centered it. Hoover shoots. Oh, great save, Janasek. He robbed him. That one was labeled for underneath the crossbar. Rebound to the right boards, and Dean DeFazio just hoisted in the Baltimore territory to alleviate pressure. Control at the Jacks line by Hoover. He just fired it off the boards all the way down ice. Right to the goaltender, Janasek, leaving behind the goal for English. In pursuit, Sagan. Now John English, right up the middle at his own line for Praisler on right wing at center for Hubie McDonough. He springs into the Baltimore line. The drop pass on the right boards for Praisler. Praisler centered it all the way through to the Baltimore right boards, and Doug Shedden is there to wrap it down ice. Tracked down behind the New Haven goal by English. Sagan pursued again. Now John English. On left wing in his own line for Farish. Up the boards at center for DeFazio, reaching the Baltimore line. DeFazio pulls up, does a spinorama. He drove it all the way across into the right corner. Chugging in after it, LaRock from the point, swept away by Meitner. Now Charlie Meitner to center. On right wing for Doug Shedden. Caught in the skates as he reached the New Haven line. Covering in front of the Hawks goal is McDonough. In the middle at center for Duncanson, and he eludes him to the Baltimore blue line. Controlled by Julian. Now Claude Julian in the middle at center for Lomo. Broken up by Siltala, who feeds Krikuski over the Baltimore line. Sean Krikuski along the right wing boards, drove it in behind the goal. Bannerman was there to meet Duncanson head on, and the Jacks are away. Armstrong to center. Ian Armstrong over the New Haven line along the right wing boards. He was squeezed there on the defense, but the puck is loose behind the goal. It's cleared along the boards. Meitner blocked it left side. Shooting kicked out by Janasek with Armstrong breezing by the doorstep. Now the puck is sent to center by LaRock. On the right side, Lomo keeps the pressure on by driving it in behind the New Haven goal. Covering on the left defense is Brian Tutt. Now Tutt lugs it out of danger at center zone. Drove it into the Baltimore right corner, charging after it. Krekuski shooting. Glanced off the side of the net. Into the right corner for Julian. Angling it up on left wing in his own line for JF No. No at center for Lomo, stroking it in behind the New Haven goal. The Jacks are changing. 8:37 for the period. It's 1-1. Now at the New Haven line. Farish up the left boards at center for Siltala. Leaving for the trailer Duncanson. Knocked back into the zone, though, by Perkins. Covering in front of the New Haven goal is Germain in the middle at center for Krikuski over the Baltimore line and right wing for Siltala. From the top of the circle, he fired one way wide. The rebound controlled in the Baltimore right circle by Terry Perkins, and he's away. Perkins romping to center. Over the New Haven line along the left wing boards. He swoops through the circle, right in on goal, and he was checked at the doorstep by Janasek. Contained at the right point by Kennedy with a shot. He scores! Bob Kennedy, Jacks lead 2-1. Bob Kennedy produces his first ever pro goal as he really ripped one from the right point after Terry Perkins had swerved through the left circle right in on top of Janasek. Janasek checked Perkins, but it was contained on the right point by Kennedy. Now Perkins from center fired the save by Janasek. Rebound right circle, Perkins fired! Blocked in front by the defenseman Denny LaRock, who cracked down JF No at the doorstep. And the game's first penalty to LaRock for cross-checking for New Haven at 12-13. It was Kennedy from Perkins and Driscoll at 11:58, and Terry Perkins is now assisted on 6 of the last 7 Skipjacks goals. Kennedy's first from Perkins and Driscoll. Bob Kennedy and Chuck Brimmer celebrating their first ever pro goals here in this opening period, each time staking the Jacks to a 1-goal bulge. Denny LaRock, 2 minutes for cross-checking JF No right in front of the New Haven goal crease at 12-13. The Jacks on the power play, 2 for 5 in their last 2 games. Doug Shedden accounting for both goals. Face off at the top of the slot inside the New Haven line. Won by Kadelsky from Sagan, and Bob Kadelsky sails it down ice. Claude Julien in a leisurely-like fashion will lasso it behind the goal, leaving for Shedden, rounding the net on the right side. Doug Shedden at his own line, at center. Fired it off the New Haven backboards, charging after it right corner is Sagan, penetrating behind the defense. Now Sagan comes off the corner boards into the circle. Side of the goal for Shedden, right in front for Sagan. He couldn't reach it, it skids to center. I don't think Sagan had a stick down in time. Now Cliff Albrecht watched all the way back behind his own goal by Kadelsky. 1:23 for the power play. Albrecht now will start out. Cliff Albrecht up on left wing at center for Julien. He drove it in behind the New Haven goal, digging in after it is both Brimmer and Sagan. Brimmer swooping in behind the goal, pulls up. Now Chuck Brimmer in the left corner, along the boards for Sagan. Back into the corner for Brimmer. Now Shedden was really thumped in front of the goal by Farish. On the left point, it's Albrecht. Along the left wing boards for Sagan. Left point for Albrecht. His shot struck Shedden in front, and Shedden falling, fired it wide. Rebound along the right wing boards. Pinching in is Julien. Julien steers in behind the goal, but Tutt was there waiting for it. And Brian Tutt from his own right circle rockets one into the Baltimore bench at center ice below us. No further play. And that'll force a face-off back in New Haven territory with 6:27 remaining in the opening period and 40 seconds remaining in the LaRock cross-checking penalty. It's 2-1 Skipjacks. Brimmer and Kennedy, the Skipjacks sharpshooters. Hubie McDonough in between, responsible for the New Haven firepower. Face-off rim of the circle, right of Janisic, New Haven goal. Perkins and McDonough the principals. All ready to go. Sticks come down. Won by Perkins. Taken along the left wing boards by Gagne. Gagne fired over top of the net. Rebound on the right boards for No. No try to drag it back to the right point for Hoover. Back for No on the right side. Stripped of the puck by Siltala. And from in front of the goal, it's whipped down ice by Hubie McDonough. 20 seconds for the power play. Wayne Gagne strides behind the goal, leaves for Perkins. Now Terry Perkins at his own line. Gathering speed at center, crossing the New Haven line. He's through the defense. He's ready on goal. He shoots, he scores! Terry Perkins, Jacks lead 3-1. Coast to coast with an electrifying singular rush. And solo flight, Perkins really changed gears as he had that accelerator floorboarding it, as he just suddenly streaked through the New Haven defense right in on goal. And then he raked the rooftop rocket upstairs underneath the crossbar for his 13th power play goal of the season. That's second best in the league. Gagne and Bannerman the assists, and will await the time of the Skipjacks' 65th power play goal of the season and their third in their last 6 opportunities spanning the last 3 games. It's 3-1 Jacks, and back come the Jacks again. Sagana center, steaming in over the New Haven line, shooting, deflected over the glass into the crowd by John English on the defense, and that one lands way up in the end Reds, and a gentleman with a Skipjacks cap sitting on the aisle in the 5th row grabbed that one. What a glove save by that gentleman up there in the 5th row sitting on the aisle. And I believe getting the ID on him, he's from Lutherville. Great to have those fans from Lutherville here tonight. Face-off will be rim of the circle, right of the goaltender. Hawks control in front of the goal. Denny LaRock at his own line for Krakuski. Sean Krakuski on left wing at center, sends it skimming in on goal. Bannerman with a diagonal feed on right wing at his own line for Ian Armstrong. Armstrong from center, drove it in behind the New Haven goal. He was meeting it for Lomo. Covering in the left corner, LaRock. He bowls over Armstrong as he poked it up the boards for Duncanson. New Haven away. Duncanson at center for Krakuski over the Baltimore line. Left circle for Duncanson with a shot. He scores! Craig Duncanson. And the Jacks lead is sliced to 3-2. Oh my, did they undress Bob Kennedy on the skipjack defense that time. And Duncanson and Krakowski, and they orchestrated that one masterfully. And the time of the goal, 15:03, just 58 seconds after Perkins had connected for his 21st from Gagne and the goaltender Bannerman. Craig Duncanson with his 9th goal of the season, the former #1 draft of parent club Los Angeles in 1985. And the Jacks lead again is shaved to a scant singleton at 3-2. Boy, Duncanson for the left circle, and did he ever blister one. That was just a rising rocket as he just streaked past Bob Kennedy on the defense. Now from the face-off at center zone, Charlie Meitner hits the New Haven line, shooting, blocked on the defense by Tutt. That really stung. And Brian Tutt hobbles to the bench as he fires it down ice. They'll negate icing. Collected behind the goal by Julian, up on right wing for Armstrong. Now Armstrong, checked neatly by Siltala across to the right point. The shot was right on by the rock, and a great glove save by Bannerman. No further play. A break of the action. 4:15 left, first period. Jacks 3, New Haven 2 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network.
Did you want a fan of the game?
No fan of the game tonight. This is from the Colt Corral? Yeah. Okay. Now from the faceoff, Jacks control their own line. Tim Hoover on the left defense. Rinkwad and right wing at center for Shedden. Doug Shedden drove it in behind the New Haven goal with 4 minutes left in the period. It comes back to the right point. Gagne failed to hold it in. Wayne Gagne comes back to center circle. He hits the New Haven line, and Doug Shedden was late leaving the zone, much to his alarm. No further play. It appeared that Shedden had cleared out the zone and was straddling the blue line, and he has a few choice remarks for the linesman, Steve Miller. It appeared that Shedden was successful in removing himself from the New Haven blue line as Gagne was scampering in. Now from the faceoff, LaRocque at his own line on the right defense. He'll motor to center at the Baltimore line, skated off by Brimmer. Control back at center by DeFazio, redirecting it to his own zone for LaRocque. Up the middle at center for McDonough, stolen by Hoover, who storms in over the New Haven line. The drop pass for Brimmer at the top of the circle, then he was off balance and couldn't control. It skids in behind the goal. Farish is there. McDonough overpowered by Shedden, who tried to steal, but Farish is there to cover up. Now Farish around the boards on right wing for DeFazio. DeFazio just whacks it down ice with Deneen pinching in from the point. 3:12 for the period, 3-2 Skipjacks. Along the Baltimore left wing boards, Sean Deneen in the middle at center for Shedden, who barrels in over the New Haven line on the right circle. Shedden pulls up, centered it, blocked in front by the spinning Eric Germain, who just sends it down ice, and they'll nullify icing. 2:51 for the period. Kennedy in front of his own goal, just drove it off Steve Climo at center circle, all the way into the New Haven left corner. Germain is on it. Oh, bowled over by Driscoll, who steals. Driscoll right circle for No. No shoots. Blocked in front by English. Now No has it again left circle. No behind the goal for Perkins. Perkins was checked by English. Dug out right boards though by Perkins. Now Perkins spills the New Haven player, and there's going to be a Baltimore penalty coming up. He tripped Germain in the circle. Puck back into the Baltimore zone. Action halted. And we will have a Skipjacks tripping penalty to Terry Perkins with 2:18 left in the opening period. A break in the action at Skipjacks 3, New Haven 2 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network.
Skipjacks penalty number 22, Terry Perkins. 2 minutes for tripping. Time to penalty 17:42.
You got to get these spots in, Craig. We're way behind. So we got one more break yet. Terry Ficcarelli rejoining you live for the Baltimore Arena. Terry Perkins for the Jacks, 2 minutes for tripping at 17:42. New Haven has a golden opportunity to tie it. Ferris from the left point, fired right on. Bannerman the save. He turned it over in front of the goal again. Unfortunately, Byron Lomo was there to rescue him, and he fires it down ice. I don't know why Bannerman keeps doing that. He cannot execute that maneuver. Covering in front of the New Haven goal, and they're underway. Silta to his own line to center. Mike Silta over the Baltimore line, leaves it on the right point for Dave Pichette. Pichette into the circle for Duncanson, down low, side of the goal for Siltala. Now Mike Siltala wheels wide to the right boards. Now he whirls into the circle, side of the goal for Duncanson, right in front for Siltala. Checked beautifully by Lomo, who cleared the blue line. Contained left point by Farish. To the right point for Pichette. In the circle for Krakuski with a shot over top of the net. Rebound to the left point. Controlled on the right side by Pichette. Now Pichette center point for Farish. Farish tried to direct one in front of the goal, and Krakuski was muscled out of harm's way by Hoover. Controlled on the left side, though, by Siltala. Into the circle for Duncanson. Duncanson stripped to the puck by Sagan. It's backhanded down ice masterfully by Julian. 1:06 for the period and 47 seconds for the power play. Dave Farish on left wing at center since Mike Siltala scampering after in the Baltimore left corner. Bannerman charges out. Drove it around the boards with a minute left in the period. Contained right point by Pichette. Behind the goal for Siltala. The centering pass was blocked by Julian. Seized behind the goal, though, by Duncanson. To the right corner for Siltala. Center point for Pichette. Top of the circle for Siltala. Center point for Pichette. Left point for Farish. Farish wheels in along the boards on the hash mark. Directs it into the corner for Krakuski. Now Krakuski left point for Pichette. Left circle for Krakuski. Knocked away by Julian. Claude Julian rifles it down ice, right on goal. Janisic the save. 3 seconds for the Perkins penalty. 19 seconds for the period. Perkins is back on. Farish at center. Over the Baltimore line. On left wing for Kelly from the top of the circle. He snapped the shot. Bannerman the pad save. Rebound left circle. Kadelski's backhander. Bannerman guards the door on the short side. Rebound to the Baltimore right boards. Terry Perkins will cover as the horn will sound, symbolizing the conclusion of the first period, and it was an exciting He leaves it in the right corner. On the defense for the Rock, in the middle at center for Duncanson. Craig Duncanson shoots it in off the Baltimore backboards. Covering the carom in the circle, Julian ahead of Siltala. Cross sharply on left wing at center, Julian for Meitner. Meitner from center shoots, that one's high and wide. Rebound to the left wing boards. Duncanson up the boards for McDonough. Cross on right wing at center for Sean Krakuski. Krakuski floats it into the Baltimore right corner. Covering the carom is Bob Kennedy. Now Kennedy up on right wing at his own line for Shedden. In the middle at center for Sagan, hits the New Haven line with a shot. And a stick save by Janisic results with the puck being deflected over the glass into the crowd. No further play. Well, that Steve Sagan can really boom some blazing rockets. And it was certainly evidenced there as soon as he hit that New Haven line on left wing. He really unleashed a cannonading drive. The faceoff will be circle right of Janisic and the New Haven goal. All ready to go, Steve Sagan for the Jacks. And Hubie McDonough, the diminutive center from St. Anselm's College. Won by Sagan, top of the circle. Shedden does a spinorama, leaves left point for Deneen with a shot. Janisic to save. Rebound to the right boards for McDonough. Up the boards at center for Peter Praisler. Over the Baltimore line for DeFazio. Thumped on the defense by Deneen. It comes back to center circle. Where Brian Tuck whistles it around the Baltimore backboards. All the way to the left side for McDonough. Now McDonough sent sprawling by Shedden, but while lunging, he delivered it behind the goal for DeFazio, leaving it there for the trailer McDonough. Now McDonough wheels to the right board, centered it, touch fired, kicked out by Bannerman. Rebound left point, Germain, a high drive over top of the net. Puck in behind the goal. Sagan dishes to the right circle for Shedden, and the Jacks spring out. Shedden at center over the New Haven line. Left circle for Sagan with a shot, and he blazed it over top of the net, over the glass into the crowd. No further play, as Doug Shedden that time found Steve Sagan really romping in over that New Haven line on the left side. And Sagan had penetrated behind enemy lines, and from inside the left circle, he really rocketed one. Faceoff will be outside the New Haven blue line. 17:50, and it's 3-2 Skipjacks. Perkins and Kadelsky on the faceoff. Claimed in front of the New Haven goal. On the defense. By Gagne, rolling it to the New Haven line. Farish controls. Dave Farish from center circle drove it in behind the goal. Bannerman himself flings it around the boards, and Climo's waiting for it on the right side with a shot. Knocked down by No. Deflects to the top of the right circle for Kadelsky. Right point for the Rock with a shot. Didn't make it through. Blocked in front by Gagne. That stung. Dug out behind the goal by Paul Kelly. He tried to wrap it around on the short side, and Bannerman the save. The rebound controlled by Perkins. On left wing at center for JF. No. Scampers in over the New Haven line. Right in front for Driscoll, and he couldn't control it. It sailed over his stick, but Driscoll has it right side of the goal. Right in front for Julian, and he fired it wide. Rebound left point. Albrecht shot knocked down in front by Farish. Now the New Haven captain feeds in the middle at center for Kelly. Paul Kelly drove it in behind the Baltimore goal, rounding the net with it on the left side is Julian. A long lead on left wing at center for No. Backhanding behind the New Haven goal. The Jacks complete their change. Covering behind the goal, Krakiewski. Now Sean Krakiewski from in front of his own goal. Hawked and stalked by Lomo, who forces Krakiewski to just sail it to center zone. Lomo hurries after it on the right side, back into his own zone for a backpedaling Claude Julian on the right defense. Across on the left side for Albrecht. Cliff Albrecht from center drove it, hopscotching into the New Haven left corner. Captured there on the defense by Germain, barely slipping the check of Lomo, but Lomo steals, delivers it left corner for Meitner coming across. Now Charlie Meitner along the boards, spun around by Germain, covering at the New Haven line, Duncanson, and they're away. Duncanson on left wing at center for Siltala. His pass at the Baltimore line, halted by Armstrong. Rinkwet on left wing at center for Meitner over the New Haven line. Meitner fired right on. Janicek flexed the pad and smothers it on the short side. No further play. 15:54 remaining in the second period. It's 3-2 Skipjacks, all the game scoring. Crammed into the opening period. Terry Perkins with another goal and an assist for the Jacks tonight. And Perkins, remarkably, has been involved in 7 of the Jacks' last 8 goals on a goal, following 6 assists. Faceoff will be circle right of the goaltender, Bob Janicek. Steve Sagan in the faceoff opposing Hubie McDonough. All ready to go. Sticks come down. Won by McDonough, directing it right corner boards for a turning Dave Farish. Farish pass, he eludes Climo to the Baltimore blue line. Bob Kennedy on the right defense sends it back into the New Haven zone, where it's claimed on the right side. On the defense by English, this pass halted at center by Sagan. Over the New Haven line on right wing for a spinning Doug Shedden, across to the left point for Deneen. Launching one in behind the goal for Brimmer. Brimmer tried to force a centering pass out of the goal for Shedden. Shedden right in front for Deneen with a shot. Oh, a spectacular glove save by Bob Janicek, and he acrobatically holds on. No further play. And Sean Deneen rebuked in his bid for his first goal this season, as Shedden, Sagan, and Brimmer were really creating congestion around that New Haven goal crease, and it was Shedden who finally slipped it to Deneen, pouring in for the left point. And the eldest of the 5 hockey-playing sons of Adirondack coach Bill Deneen really blazed one. Face-off right of Janicek, New Haven goal. Janicek was 11-2 with a 1.65 goals against average when he was elevated to Los Angeles earlier this season. His goals against is still a gaudy 2.58 entering tonight's game. From the face-off behind the New Haven goal, corralled on the defense by LaRock, a sleek spinorama to evade the check of Perkins, but digging it out left wing boards is Driscoll lying in wait. He whipped it around the backboards all the way to the right point for Kennedy. He fired one wide to the short side. Rebound to the New Haven right boards. Paul Kelly controls his pass on left wing at center for Tutt. Over the Baltimore line for Climo with a shot, and Sean Deneen deflects that one over the glass and into the end Reds again. And a gentleman in the second row with a white parka on, I think, grabbed that one. And he is from Cockeysville. Well, we had one from Lutherville and one from Cockeysville up there tonight. So the suburbs of northeast Baltimore well represented tonight. To check him out. He might be one of my neighbors. Face-off will be rim of the circle left of Bannerman in the Baltimore goal. From the face-off, Perkins won it. Up on left wing at center for JF. No. He drove it into the New Haven left corner. Covering the camera ahead of the onrushing Driscoll is Germain. He turned it over to Perkins, who wheels in front, and the Perkins backhander was right through the crease. It comes up the New Haven right boards for Climo. At center for Paul Kelly, leaving for McDonough at the Baltimore line. Poked off his stick to center beautifully by Gagne. And from there, Ferris drove it around the Baltimore backboards. All the way up the left side. Covering up now behind the goal is Gagne. Now Wayne Gagne, who had a stellar game in Springfield last night. On right wing at center for JF Knoll. It eludes him all the way into the New Haven zone. Tracked down in the right corner by Farish. Now Dave Farish in the middle, sharply at center for Climo over the Baltimore line for Siltala. Checked down the defense by Albrecht. On the right boards, Armstrong left it there for Albrecht at his own line for No, and the Jacks will start out. JF No to center. At the New Haven line, poked off his stick on the defense by Germain, who was stuffed by Armstrong, closing in as the trailer, but covering behind the goal, Siltala, rounding that in on the right side. Now Mike Siltala on right wing at center, skidded off by Albrecht, who swept it back into the New Haven zone from the Skipjack defense. Germain chased him behind the goal by the ever-present Byron Lomo. Germain on right wing. Had his own line for Krakiewski, crunched by Lomo along the boards, but he still drove it in behind the Jacks goal. Bannerman steps out with Duncanson closing in. Duncanson steals in the right corner. To the right point, the shot by LaRock is high and wide. Rebound left point for Tutt, pinching in. Into the left circle for Duncanson. Center point for LaRock with a shot. Bannerman the save. Rebound dragged to the backboards by Julian, but dug out right corner by Krakiewski. Now Krakiewski wheels along the boards. Side of the goal for Duncan. Siltala wide open in front. Right in front for Krakiewski, and he fired it wide. Dug out behind the goal by Krakiewski. Now Krakiewski along the left boards for Siltala. Snapping the shot, blocked by Julian. That stung. Back come the Jacks. Meitner on left wing at center with a shot, and LaRock muffled that one. Now Denny LaRock's pass halted at center by a recovering Charlie Meitner, who spins and sweeps it into the New Haven right corner. Covering LaRock. Up the right boards at center for DeFazio. Over the Baltimore line for McDonough off his stick, but trailing DeFazio, shooting, and he blistered it wide. Rebound the Baltimore left wing boards for Kennedy. Up the boards at center for a Brimmer. It eludes him. It seemed to handcuff him all the way to the New Haven line. LaRock controls. In the middle at center for Dean DeFazio. Hawks away. DeFazio at the Baltimore line for Kudelski. He backhanded to the skipjack left corner. Covering up Sean Deneen. Up on left wing for Brimmer. Rinkwad on right wing at center for Doug Shedden. It sailed past him into the New Haven zone. Covering in the Hawks right corner is Farish. Dave Farish on the New Haven defense sends Praisler on his way in the middle at center. Peter Praisler drove it into the Baltimore zone. Bannerman steps out, directs it up on left wing at his own line for Seguin. Steve Seguin barreling to center. Over the New Haven line. Overpowered along the boards by his former teammate Farish. Now he gets back up in the corner for Shedden. Right in front for Gagne with a shot. What a save by Janisic as Gagne swerved right in. Back comes New Haven. McDonough to center. At the Baltimore line, right circle for DeFazio with a shot. Kicked out by Bannerman. Rebound behind the goal. Praisler was pinned to the backboards by Gagne, who really stapled him. Then it was turned over by Shedden for DeFazio on the left wing boards, and he fired one right through the crease, all the way through the Baltimore left boards. Steve Seguin drove it into New Haven territory. He's pulled down by Eric Germain, chasing down the puck in the New Haven zone. As Seguin was astride behind Germain, and Eric Germain, the second-year pro, will be chased for holding at 8:54. A break in the action. Jacks are 1 for 1 on the power play tonight, and they lead by 1. Jacks 3, New Haven 2 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network.
New Haven penalty to number 2, Eric Germain. 2 minutes for holding. Time of the penalty, 8:54. New Haven penalty to number 2, Eric Germain. 2 minutes for holding. Time of the penalty, 8:54.
Terry Ficcarelli rejoining you live from the Baltimore Arena, where Eric Germain has been banished a 2-minute minor for holding at 8:54. Jacks are 1 for 1 on the power play. Terry Perkins manning the face-off is the Skipjacks marksman in that department. Face-off will proceed. Circle right of Bob Janisic, and Janisic has been exemplary in that New Haven goal tonight. Boy, he has pulled off some spellbinding saves here in this second period. All ready to go. Perkins, no. Shedden up front for the Jacks. Julian and Albrecht on the points. It'll be Perkins and Kadelski on the face-off. All ready to go. Waiting for the linesman. They draw swords. One by Kadelski. Behind the goal, collected by John English. Rocketing it around the boards on left wing at his own line for Climo. Upended by Julian. Right circle for Perkins. He tried to center one for Shedden in front. Swept down ice by Kadelski. Bannerman 35 feet from the goal. Charged out, and he controls it center for Shedden over the New Haven line. Shooting! Blocked in front by English, who went low fearlessly. Puck comes back to center zone. Controlled by JF, no on left wing. Now no scampers in over the New Haven line. The drop pass center point for Shedden. Left point for Albrecht with a shot. And that one really took off and rose over the glass and disappeared in the crowd. No further play. Boy, Cliff Albrecht had that puck rolling on its edge as he was pouring in from the left point. And he really ripped one. And that shot just took off and vanished into the dark of the Baltimore Arena night. 10:32 left, second period. 1:26 for the New Haven holding penalty to Eric Germain. Only the third penalty of the night, and the first in this second period. The Jacks leading 3-2. From the faceoff, the puck skids all the way to the goaltender, Bannerman. He'll collect it for Claude Julien, who slips in behind the goal. Julian leaves for Sagan, circling the net on the right side. Now Steve Sagan, his own line, thundering to center, crossing the New Haven line, and Terry Perkins preceded him over the blue line on the left side. No further play. And that'll prompt a face-off outside the New Haven blue line, across the way from us on the Skipjack left wing. 10:14 left, second period. 1:08 for the Jacks power play, and they lead 3-2. It's been scoreless thus far in the second period. Want to remind you, the Jacks host the Hershey Bears here at the Baltimore Arena tomorrow night at 7. Game 2 of the 3-game homestand, and 2,500 four-packs of Jacks can handlers will be given away. It's Skipjacks mug night tonight. 4,000 Skipjacks mugs from Pepsi-Cola given away. Here's Perkins streaking in over the New Haven line, pulling up on the right board. Center point for Julian, right point for Perkins. Left point for Albrecht with a shot right on. And Janisic clutches that one to his chest. Right on the New Haven crest. No further play. Albrecht that time singed one from the left point, and that one seemed to be crawling up the left arm on the catching glove side of the goaltender Janisic. Still 52 seconds remaining in the power play. 9:58 for the period. They've opened up the second deck here tonight. We have a large crowd here on Saturday nights. Unfortunate that the Skipjacks do not play more games at home on Saturday night, because they'd have some excellent crowds. Now Sagan won the face-off to the right point for Gagne. Left point for Deneen. Center point for Gagne, swerving through the left circle. Slams on the brakes along the boards. Now Gagne left point for Deneen. Into the corner for Shedden. Now Doug Shedden leaves it there for Perkins. Back for Shedden, side of the goal. Right in front for Sagan at the crease. He couldn't control it. Contained on the right point, though, by Gagne. In the circle for Sagan. Behind the goal for Perkins. Perkins to the left point for Deneen. Now Sean Deneen drove it in behind the goal for Perkins. Now Terry Perkins sets up. Try to force a centering pass in front, blocked by the Rocket. Comes back to Perkins behind the goal. Checked by Ferris, who forced the issue and fired down ice from the right side of the goal by Denny Larocque. Penalty expires to Germain. Jacks will control behind their own goal, Sean Deneen. Now Deneen right in front of his own goal. Very deliberately at his own line, leaves it for Gagne. Now Wayne Gagne's pass knocked down right at his own line by Kadelski. Kadelski jostles for it vigorously with first Gagne, and the second Skipjack player on the scene is Steve Sagan, and they'll lock it up. No further play. A break in the action. 8:47 left, second period. Still the Jacks 3, New Haven 2 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network. Is that our second break? That's our second break this period, isn't it? Back to the play. Pucked in the Baltimore right circle. Bannerman charges out again. Fired it to the New Haven zone. Controlled on the left boards by Germain, leaving for Kadelski, peeling back. His breakaway pass meant for Kelly at center. Halted by Meitner on left wing for Ian Armstrong. He barges in over the New Haven line through the circle. The backhander by Armstrong right through the crease. All the way through to the New Haven left boards. Climo wrapped up there with great authority by Armstrong, who's bumping and grinding. Armstrong to the right point for Julian. Screen shot struck Meitner, screening in front. Back comes New Haven. Kelly across on left wing at center for Climo. Had handcuffed him with a dizzying hop at the Baltimore line. And Meitner is there to clear to center. At center zone. Rolled back in the Baltimore zone by Germain for the left side. Control by Claude Julien, lugging it to center circle for the Jacks. Fluttering it in behind the New Haven goal. 7:42 for the period. Rounding the net on the left side is the defenseman Brian Tutt. Tutt at his own line to center. At the Baltimore line. Along the left wing boards for Duncanson. Back for Tutt, easing it into the corners. He was rubbed out robustly along the boards by Kennedy. Then Siltala stole it from Deneen behind the goal. Now Siltala centered it. Blocked in front by Shedden, and away come the Jacks. Shedden on left wing at center for Chuck Brimmer. He drove it in behind the New Haven goal. Charging in after it left corner, Shedden. But he was beaten to it by Tutt. Tutt in the middle at center for Duncanson, who romps it over the Baltimore line with a shot. Bannerman the save. Rebound deep in the right corner. Covering up is Kennedy. Clearing pass halted at the line by LaRock. Down low left corner for Krikuski. Back to the left point for LaRock with a shot. Knocked out in front by Seguin. Rebound covered left side of the goal by Bannerman. But stolen by Krikuski. Centered it. Center point. Ferris drove it in behind the goal with Brimmer bearing down on him. Covering up behind the goal is Hoover. Checked by Siltala, who steals. Siltala centers it. Duncanson right in front. The backhander knocked down by Kennedy. Puck in behind the Baltimore goal. Kennedy staples Duncanson to the boards, but it's dug out behind the goal by Krikuski. Left wing boards for Siltala. Shooting kicked out by Bannerman. Rebound for Siltala again. Right in front for Duncanson with a shot. Kicked out by Bannerman. Rebound left wing boards for Krikuski. Left point for the Rock with a shot. Knocked out in front by Seguin. And finally, Steve Seguin sweeps it down ice for temporary relief. Covering in front of the New Haven goal is LaRock. Leading on right wing in his own line for Krikuski. Stripped of the puck by Perkins on left wing. Fired back behind the goal from center by Brimmer. Rounding the net with it on the left side is Dave Farish. Farish leads on left wing sharply at center for Hubie McDonough. He wheels past Albrecht over the Baltimore line, right circle to McDonough. Backhander, Bannerman the save. Rebound to the Baltimore left circle. Perkins clears to the line. Halted there by Farish, who drove it back behind the goal. Julian is on it. Leading sharply at his own line for JF No. No on left wing at center. Zooms in over the line. Pulls up on the left wing boards. Upended by Farish, but controlled by the Jacks back at center zone by Julian. Julian on right wing. Winds it around the New Haven backboards all the way to the right side. DeFazio's waiting for it there. Dean DeFazio sends Hubie McDonough breaking out of the pack at center over the Baltimore line around Albrecht, streaking in behind the goal. Jolted by Julian. Buckled on the blue line. Contained on the right point. The shot was weak by Tutt. Blocked in front by Driscoll, who drove it to the goaltender Janisic. Now behind the goal, Germain, with No and Perkins surrounding in pursuit. Eric Germain in the middle at center for DeFazio, drifting it in behind the Baltimore goal. Dug out in the right corner by Julian as Shedden really dumped Praisler in front. And Gagne just drove it to center zone. Brian Tutt drove it to the Baltimore line. Controlled by Perkins. Breakaway pass for Shedden over the New Haven line. Shedden's in alone with a shot. What a save by Janisic. He's been fabulous tonight in the New Haven goal. Back comes New Haven. Climo to center. At the Baltimore line. Knocked away by Deneen. Back to the New Haven line. Controlled by Brian Tutt. Firing it back in front of the Baltimore goal. Covering is Deneen on the defense. Up the middle at center for Shedden. It danced off his stick all the way behind the New Haven goal. Ferris controlling with Doug Shedden in pursuit. Ferris clearing pass on right wing at center for Kelly. He appeared to be skating quicksand with Shedden, or Seguin overpowering him from behind, but trailing Climo. Climo at center, upended rudely by Brimmer, and play goes right on. Chuck Brimmer got away with a hook. Puck to the New Haven line. Climo along the left wing boards. Overpowered by Seguin. He barges in over the New Haven line. Right circle for Brimmer. Poked off his stick neatly by Kelly, who came across. Controlled the New Haven line by Climo. And Steve Climo on left wing. drifts it into Baltimore territory. Continuous action, 3:47 with a period, still 3-2 Jacks. Brimmer at his own line. On left wing at center for Shedden, caught in his skate, stolen by Siltala. He's over the Baltimore line. Siltala right wing boards, right in front for Krikuski. Checked beautifully by Kennedy. Now Bob Kennedy in his own right corner on the Skipjack defense. At his own line for Lomo. On right wing at center for Shedden, exploding in over the New Haven line, shooting right on. Janisic the save. Rebound controlled in front of the goal by Farish. On right wing at center for Krikuski. He whipped it in behind the Baltimore goal, and he loses Bannerman, who stepped out. Seized in the left corner by Duncanson. Around the backboards, right side for Krikuski. Right in front for Siltala with a shot. An electrifying skate save by Bannerman. He wrapped Siltala point blank range as the latter was all alone in front. Ian Armstrong finally controls it. Drove it into the New Haven zone. In the left corner, Larock crunched by Lomo. Contained right point by Gagne. Right in front for Meitner with a shot, and English went low and deflects it over the glass into the crowd. No further play. A break in the action. 2:51 left, second period. Still the Jacks 3 and New Haven 2 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network. It is. Yeah, that was a great save by Bannerman off Siltala. That's money in the bank when Siltala's alone in front like that. Terry Ficcarelli rejoining you live at the Baltimore Arena. 2:51 remaining in a very exciting, though scoreless second period. And it's a 3-2 Skipjack lead. Now, a moment ago, Murray Bannerman absolutely robbed Mike Siltala about 10 feet in front of him, point blank range, and that is normally money in the bank when Siltala is so uncovered and has that open a shot. Bannerman with an absolutely scintillating skate save. Face-off barely inside the arc of the circle, right of Janisic. New Haven goal. Both goaltenders have really shined in this period. From the face-off behind the goal, corralled on the New Haven defense by Larock, leading on right wing at his own line for Hubie McDonough, who springs to center over the Baltimore line, shooting, blocked down the defense by Gagne, and back on the Jacks. JF No explodes out of the pack at center, over the New Haven line, top of the left circle, he pulls up, in the circle for Julian the trailer, skated off by DeFazio, seized behind the goal though by Perkins. Perkins centered it, blocked in front by Praisler. Now the Czechoslovakian defector will start out. Praisler past the check of No at center, over the Baltimore line, shooting, Bannerman the save, and he'll pounce on the rebound with DeFazio creating a crush at the crease. But Wayne Gagne was there, as was Terry Perkins, and the 6'3", 220-pound Tim Driscoll, the late on the arrival, but equally effective as his previous two. And they ushered DeFazio from the danger district with great urgency. 2:10 left, middle period. It's been scoreless in this period. The Nighthawks have 11 shots, duplicating their first period output. The Jacks have 9 shots. New Haven with 22, Jacks 21 in that department. We want to remind you that we're going to have a special guest from the Deaf Hockey School that Gino Briaco has been a long-time instructor at in Chicago for many years. We're not sure who it will be yet. They're playing guessing games with me tonight, but he or she will be joining us during our second intermission tonight. That should be very interesting. From the faceoff, Bob Kennedy behind the Jacks goal. He just whipped it off the left wing boards into New Haven territory. Racing after it is Jermaine, chased him behind the goal by Shedden, who's had a strong game tonight. Shedden checks him, Jermaine loses his glove, but he still headmans it on left wing at his own line for Kudelski. At center for Kelly, over the Baltimore line, right forwards, right in front for Kudelski with a shot, he scores! Bob Kudelski, the trailer, and the game is tied, 3-3. Well, that perhaps was inevitable. The Jacks have been leaving that slot area in front of Bannerman totally uncovered throughout most of this period. Bannerman has bailed out the Jacks numerous times, but not this time. Bob Kudelski was the trailer, and the rookie from Yale just ripped it upstairs. That's his 9th of the season since being reassigned by Parent Club Los Angeles. And for a second consecutive night, the Jacks have squandered a 2-goal, 3-1 lead. They did so in the third period at Springfield last night. 2 unanswered goals for the Hawks. Kelly and Jermaine the assists. Now from the face-off, Jacks will control behind their own goal. Julian rounds the net on the right side. Claude Julian at his own line, accelerating to center over the New Haven line, pulling up on the right boards. Drove it in behind the goal for Brimmer. He was really sent sprawling by a hook by Ferris. She got away with that one. Puck all the way back to the Baltimore line. Julian controls. Rick Watt on left wing at center for Brimmer. He drove it in behind the New Haven goal for the Jacks. Covering is Jermaine, 1:05 for the period. Eric Jermaine slipped it up on right wing at center for Paul Kelly. He drove it in behind the Jacks goal. A minute left in the period as Bannerman blockades for Julian, angling it up on left wing at center for Charlie Meitner. Meitner at the New Haven line, skidded off by McDonough. Played all the way back in the Baltimore zone by Albrecht. And Cliff Albrecht just flings it off the boards over the glass into the crowd. No further play. A break in the action. 48 seconds left, second period. It's the Jacks 3, New Haven 3 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network. No lead is safe this season. No lead is safe this season. You can see that. You can see that coming. Their guys are. Kennedy's having a bad night tonight. That was Kennedy again. Now from the face-off, puck in behind the New Haven goal. Denny LaRocque controls it, directing it around the right wing boards for the Dominion of one, and there are a lot of small forwards on this New Haven team. Hubie McDonough, he just sends it to center, where Bob Kennedy from the circle there fires right back in behind the New Haven goal. Claim for the defense by Brian Tutt. Right up the middle of his own line for Siltala. Now Mike Siltala from center, drove it into the Baltimore left wing corner, digging in after it, McDonough, backhanding it behind the goal. Kennedy tracks it down. Bob Kennedy's pass halted left boards by Siltala. Across to the right point for Tutt. Tutt shot knocked out in front by Deneen as the horn sounds, signaling the conclusion of the second. Terry Ficarelli rejoining you live from the Baltimore Arena. The Jacks have been outscored in the third period in their last 6 games, 14-2. We're waging a 3-3 tie here at the moment. From the face-off, Charlie Meitner on left wing at center. Drove it into the New Haven left wing corner. Control by Farish in the middle at center for Duncanson. Zooming in over the Baltimore line. Right circle, shooting. Deflected by Albrecht. It's airborne. Whacked to the front of the goal from center point by LaRocque. Knocked back to center zone by Albrecht. Controlled by Krakiewski over the Baltimore line. Right circle for Siltala with a shot. And Albrecht reached in and deflected that one wide. But it's contained on the right point by the trailer LaRocque. He drove it in behind the goal. Byron Lomo is there. He's checked by Krakiewski. Surrounded by Siltala. They jam forward deep in the Jacks' right corner. Krakiewski and Lomo. Now Lomo just maneuvers it with his skate along the boards. Lomo up the boards at his own line for Armstrong. Ian Armstrong romping the center, trying to chase it down in the New Haven zone. Rubbed out along the boards deep in the right corner by LaRocque. Covering up in front of the Hawks' goal is Duncanson. He high steps it into the straightaway at center. Duncanson at the Baltimore line, shooting. Kennedy deflects that one. It skips into the Baltimore right corner. Covering up is Deneen. Up on right wing at his own line for Lomo. Across on the left side for a trailing Bob Kennedy. Kennedy through center, over the New Haven line. Steers in behind the goal. The Jacks are changing. Covering behind the Nighthawk goal is Brian Tutt. Now Tutt, right up the middle at his own line for Climo. On left wing at center for Kadalski, backhanding in the Baltimore zone as he was bumped by Kennedy. Covering behind the goal, Deneen around the left wing boards for Perkins, halted at the line by Tutt. He drove it back behind the goal. Deneen is on it. Around the right wing boards for Tim Driscoll. Up the boards at his own line for Perkins. He just nudged it outside the zone to center, where Kadalski on left wing steers it to his goaltender, Janisic, who fires it all the way down ice. They'll nullify icing. Bob Kennedy rounds the net on the skipjack right side. Kennedy at his own line for Driscoll. Driscoll's pass in the middle at center was halted by Chrysler over the Baltimore line right wing for DeFazio with a high drive. That's way wide. Rebound to the left boards. DeFazio centered it. McDonough right in front, was spun around at the last second by Julian. It's loose to center point. LaRocque lunges for it, failed to hold it in, and it skids all the way back into the New Haven zone. Covering behind the goal is Farish on left wing at his own line for Praisler. His pass knocked down at center by Brimmer. He couldn't find it, but Farish does, and he sends it the rest of the way into the Baltimore left corner. Julian along the boards to escape the check of McDonough. Now Claude Julian on left wing at his own line for Brimmer. Brimmer ramps to center over the New Haven line on right wing for Shedden with a shot, and he ripped it wide. The rebound caromed off the corner boards all the way back in the Baltimore zone. Seguin is on it across to the right defense for Gagne. He just fired it off the boards to center. Gobbled up there by Germain. He sends it right back in behind the Jacks goal. Covering is Julian. Now Claude Julian right in front of his own goal. He's underway. Julian at his own line to center. Fired. That was wide. The rebound caromed off the backboards. DeFazio stepped in front of the onrushing Doug Shedden in the right circle and sends it to the Baltimore line. Kennedy controls at center. At the New Haven line for Shedden. That was blocked by Germain. Germain at center of the Baltimore line. Left circle for Siltala, who's right in on goal. He centers it. The point shot by Tutt. A sprawling block by Brimmer. Comes back to center zone. Tutt steps back in over the Baltimore line again, right in front for Duncanson. Checked by a sprawling Bob Kennedy. Duncanson controls it though in the corner. Behind the goal for Siltala. Now Siltala into the corner, back behind the goal for Krakiewski, rolling it in front. Deneen knocked it away, but it's contained left point by Germain with a shot. Blocked by Meitner, breaking away at center. Over the New Haven line, Meitner is in alone with a shot. A great save by Janicek. The rebound squirms to the doorstep. Covering up is Brian Tutt. Now Tutt at his own line in the middle at center for Duncanson over the Baltimore line and right wing for Siltala. High drive deflects off Bannerman's right arm and deflects into the crowd. No further play. A break in the action. 15:52 left. Jacks 3, New Haven 3 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network. I'll tell you, we've had some chances tonight. Now from the faceoff, corralled in the Baltimore right circle by Julian, across on the left defense for Albrecht. He turned it over to Kelly. Kelly dashes after it behind the goal. Julian is there to squeeze him at the backboards. They tangle truculently and finally pin it. Paul Kelly, the rookie from Guelph, and Claude Julian, the 8-year pro on the Skipjack defense. 15:36 remaining for third period action. All three of the Jacks goals tonight crammed into the opening period. The attendance tonight, an excellent crowd, 4,280. 4,280. From the faceoff, Tim Driscoll breaks out of the pack at center for the Jacks. At the New Haven line on right wing, he drove it in behind the goal. Now Janicek steers it around the left boards for Climo. Climo checked by the referee, Blasky, but trailing Farish. Now Farish back in front of his own goal for Kudelski. Kudelski's pass halted at center by J.F. Noah on left wing. Now No wheels in the middle at center. Over the New Haven line on right wing for Driscoll. Checked by Climo, but trailing No. Directing it into the corner for Driscoll. He was checked there by Kudelski, and he'll start out. Bob Kudelski at his own line to center. He's over the Baltimore line, pulling up on the left wing boards. Right in front for Kelly, checked by Perkins. Covered in the right corner by Julian. Julian drifts it up the boards for Driscoll. And again, the referee's in the way. My, has he been in the way a lot tonight? And finally, that forces a whistle with the referee in the way again. But I tell you, I haven't seen a referee in the way as much as Blasky has been tonight. I don't know if the puck has been drawn to him like a magnet, and he's been a victim of some coincidental circumstances, or that he just has poor positioning. We'll have to study the issue more thoroughly before we reach a conclusion. We'll continue to survey the proceedings. From the faceoff in the Jacks left circle, Deneen controls. On right wing at center for Shed, and that one handcuffed him, was airborne. Controlled all the way back into the New Haven left circle. Eric Germain is there to cover. Across to the right boards for Tutt. Now Tutt with Shedden really bearing down on him, checking tenaciously, feeds for DeFazio. At center at the Baltimore line for Praisler, taken away by Seguin, ramping to center. Steve Seguin with a New Haven line. Leaves it left point for Shedden. Across to the right point for Deneen with a shot. Oh, and he fired it wide. The rebound on right wing at center for DeFazio. Storming in over the Baltimore line. DeFazio right circle. Shoots right on. Kicked out by Bannerman. Rebound comes back to DeFazio in the circle. Left corner for McDonough. Left point for Germain with a shot. And Bannerman kicks that one over the glass into the crowd. No further play. 13:58 left for third period action. And we're locked in a 3-3 tie. Charlie Meitner had a breakaway early in the early moments of the second period, only to be stymied point blank range by Bob Janisic. Doug Shedden had a second period breakaway as well, and Shedden likewise was robbed. So the Jacks have had some excellent scoring opportunities here, but Bob Janisic has been superb, and that's a New Haven goal. This one could develop into a goaltending struggle now. We have two very crafty veterans from the National Hockey League vying here, and it becomes a matter of pride in this 3-3 tie in the third period. Now from the faceoff, Charlie Meitner breaks out of the pack in the middle at center. Over the New Haven line, wheels to the right circle, shoots right through the crease as Armstrong was sent sprawling at the doorstep by Farish, but there's going to be a Baltimore penalty coming up. Krikuski to center, darts it on the Baltimore line. The drop pass was seized by Meitner, action halted, and we have a skipjack interference penalty coming up at 6:22. And Ian Armstrong, I believe, is the culprit, and he can't believe it. It was Armstrong who was sent sprawling across the New Haven crease by the Dave Ferris check, but perhaps Armstrong had instigated something earlier. Armstrong, 2 minutes for interference in front of the New Haven goal at 6:22. Only the Nighthawks' second power play of the night. This is only the game's fourth penalty. They've all been minors. New Haven has never led. They've tied it twice. The Jacks have enjoyed 1-0 and 3-1 leads, but they have not been heard from since the Terry Perkins electrifying singular flight on the power play at 14:05 of the opening period. That's taken the Jacks to a 3-1 lead at that juncture. From the faceoff, controlled on the left boards by Siltala, stripped naked of the puck beautifully by Bob Kennedy, and Kennedy in one swift movement fires it down ice. On the left boards, controlled by Pachetti. He's only been used on the power play tonight. On right wing at center for Siltala, gliding in over the Baltimore line, right in front for Duncanson, the backhander right through the crease. McDonough couldn't get there in time to convert. Now McDonough controls though on the left boards. Left point for Pachetti. Top of the left circle for Pachetti, shooting, that was just wide. Rebound left corner for Duncanson. Side of the goal for Siltala. Behind the goal for Hubie McDonough. Now McDonough wheels to the right boards. His pass halted in the corner by Bob Kennedy. And Kennedy again finds an opening and sends it down ice. 1:11 for the power play in front of the New Haven goal. They'll control Pachetti. Right in front of the goal, being hounded by Perkins. Now Pachetti in the middle at center for Duncanson, opening up his stride as he crosses the Baltimore line into the right circle and pulling up along the boards. Into the corner for Siltala. Across center point for Pachetti with a shot, and that was wide in a screen. Puck into the left corner. Perkins fires to the line, off the stick of Farish at the blue line, all the way to center. Farish hurries after it with Sagan hot pursuit. And Farish is forced to just drive it in behind the Baltimore goal. Julian inadvertently rockets it over the glass into the crowd at the Jacks right wing boards. No further play. 12:13 remaining and 35 seconds remaining in the Ian Armstrong interference penalty. 4,280, an excellent crowd here tonight. And they have really relished this game. This has been a very entertaining, a very lively hockey game thus far tonight. Face-off will be a crucial one, confronting the Jacks and Terry Perkins. It will develop circle right of Murray Bannerman in the Skipjack goal. Want to remind you the Jacks will host Hershey here at the Baltimore Arena tomorrow night at 7, and 2,500 4-packs of Skipjacks can handlers from Watson's Garden Center and the Bowman Restaurant will be given away. From the face-off, Brian Tutt on the left point loads the gun. Across to the right point instead for English. Now John English. Along the boards for Krikuski, right point for English. English holds, left point for Tutt. Left wing boards for Krikuski. Now into the circle, Krikuski wheels on the right side, center point for English with a shot, and that was just wide. Rebound to the left point for Tutt. He centered it, blocked in front by Julian. Tutt again for the left point, fires and he scores. I think Krakiewski in front may have deflected it. And New Haven takes its first lead of the night, 4-3. And that goal coming with just 6 seconds remaining in the Ian Armstrong penalty. 3 consecutive goals by New Haven, and they have erased the 3-1 Skipjack lead and catapulted into their first advantage of the night at 4-3. I believe the Tutt point shot may have been tipped behind Bannerman at 8:16. And the Jacks again just cannot stand prosperity. And they trail now 4-3 against a vastly improved New Haven team, but New Haven has a parent club that can improve a minor league affiliate instantaneously with a couple of reassignments. Sean Krakiewski is credited with the goal. That's his first against the Jacks this season for New Haven's leading scorer, and for Krakiewski on the campaign, his 13th of the season. Krakiewski from Tutt, who was able to contain the ill-fated clearing pass by Claude Julien. Now from the faceoff, Hubie McDonough on right wing at center, wrapped it in behind the Baltimore goal. Bannerman fires it around the left wing boards for Seguin. He didn't expect it. DeFazio's on the scene. He does a spinorama and whips it back behind the goal. Deneen undercuts McDonough, but McDonough steals, centered it right in front. Shooting is Praisler, kicked out by Bannerman with Deneen draped over the back of Praisler, and back come the Jacks. Shedden at center for Seguin. He hits the New Haven line, drove it in behind the goal for Shedden. Skated off by Larocque. And on the left wing boards, Brimmer really bowled over Praisler robustly as it comes back to center zone, where Julien on left wing fired it in behind the New Haven goal. Larocque up the left boards for Praisler. And Praisler with Gagne pinching in at the right point to fire it down ice. Julien on the touch behind the Jacks goal, and New Haven is charged for icing. A break in the action, 10:47 left. New Haven 4, the Jacks 3 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network. Terry Ficcarelli rejoining you live at a somewhat hushed Baltimore arena. The Jacks once led 3-1. They're now down for the first time tonight, 4-3. Now Brian Tutt deep in his right corner. In the middle at center for Craig Duncanson, who hurries in over the Baltimore line. He's trying to slip one in front for the trailer, Siltala, but trailing instead is Tutt. Tutt from the right corner for Duncanson. Across left circle for Siltala, who holds. Left point for Germain with a shot. Bannerman the save, and he pounces on the rebound. No further play. And that Duncanson, Krakiewski, Siltala line is absolutely dominated when they've been on the ice tonight. The Jacks have been unable to solve them. When that threesome is on the ice, they have completely dominated the territorial advantage, and they have completely monopolized puck control. And they were the line that finally broke through on the power play to catapult New Haven into its first lead of the night moments ago. Face-off circle right of Bannerman in the Skipjack goal. The Jacks have been unable to solve this line tonight. It'll be Siltala and Lomo on the face-off. Sticks come down, puck not dropped. Siltala is banned. So it'll be Sean Krakiewski, a natural center anyway, and Lomo. Won by Lomo convincingly. Corral behind the goal by Deneen. Up on left wing in his own line for Meitner. Across on the right side for Ian Armstrong over the New Haven line. Left circle for Meitner with a shot right on. Janisic the save. The rebound in front for Krakiewski in the middle at center for Siltala, New Haven away. Siltala wheels in over the Baltimore line along the left wing boards. He was checked there by Armstrong. Ian Armstrong deep in the right corner. His pass up the boards halted by Siltala. Center point for Larocque. He was late on the arrival and failed to hold it in. And the Hawks are offside. 9:50 remaining in the third period. The Jacks have not been heard from since 14:05 of the first period on Terry Perkins' coast-to-coast singular rush on the power play, staking them to a 3-1 lead. But since then, the Jacks have come undone under a New Haven 3-goal unanswered comeback attack. The face-off forthcoming just outside the Skipjack blue line. All ready to go, Perkins and Kadalski. Kadalski's goal with 1:47 left in the second period tied it. At the New Haven line, Germain just backhanded the Baltimore line, knocked down by Albrecht. We haven't seen much of Tim Hoover tonight. Albrecht just drove it to center, where Brian Tutt on right wing fires back in behind the Jacks goal. On it, Albrecht dishing to the right corner for Claude Julien. Up the boards at his own line for Shedden. Shedden at center for Perkins and back for Shedden, scampering after it into the New Haven right wing corner. He was really eased into the boards by Germain. Puck to the New Haven right wing boards, and Kelly clears to center, where Albrecht will control back to his own line. Now Cliff Albrecht from center. Drove it into the New Haven left wing corner. Covering up Germain in pursuit is Terry Perkins. Now Germain behind the goal, overpowered by Perkins, who steals. Perkins centered it, didn't reach in front. Kelly stepped in to intercede and sent it to the Baltimore line. Controlled by Albrecht at center over the New Haven line. Right wing boards for Shedden. He tried to roll one in front for Doe, and he was wrapped up by Tutt. Controlled along the left wing boards by Tutt. Tutt deep in his own corner. He'll control it and just send it down ice. They'll nullify icing with 8:37 left. Albrecht to the left side of his own goal. Headmans it at his own line for Julien, twisting and turning to escape the check of McDonough. Now Julien at the top of his own right circle is underway. Lugging it to center. He just chips it into the New Haven right wing corner. Jacks are changing, 8:20 left. Larocque, rink-wadded left wing at center for Praisler, dashing in over the Baltimore line, working on Kennedy, who drummed him to the ice in front. Controlled by the Jacks. Driscoll up the right boards at center for Brimmer, stepping in over the New Haven line. Brimmer across to the left wing boards for Deneen, and he overskated it. Back comes New Haven. McDonough to center, springing in over the Baltimore line. He wheels right in front. McDonough's right in on goal, shooting right through the crease, and Praisler failed to convert. It's loose to the side of the goal, and McDonough scores. Hubie McDonough, and New Haven leads 5-3. McDonough just banked it in off the body of Bannerman, who had his back turned to the play at the right goal post, and New Haven has struck with 2 unanswered goals, and they now have soared into a 5-3 lead. 2 unanswered third period goals, and my oh my, has the third period been an absolute disaster area for the Jacks. They have now been outscored 16-2 in the third period in their last 7 games. The only period they were spared such atrocities was the 2-2 tie when those two teams skated to a scoreless duel in the third period in that game back on Monday night. McDonough's second of the night. He has struck with New Haven's first and last goals. Praisler the assist at 12:09. That's 15 goals this season for Hubie McDonough. 5-3 Hawks. 4 unanswered goals after the Jacks gained a 3-1 first period lead. Now Duncanson at center. Just rolled it into the Baltimore left circle. Julien comes across to backhand into the Nighthawk zone. Brian Tutt will cover in front of his own goal. Leads on left wing in his own line for Duncanson. Up the boards at center for Mike Siltala. Siltala evades the check of Meitner over the Baltimore line, leaving it right circle for Germain, who snapped the shot, and that was wide. Rebound along the left wing boards. Siltala muscled by Armstrong, who just powered it one-handed to center. Duncanson controls in the middle of the ice for a turning Mike Siltala. And Siltala pirouettes and backhands behind the Jacks goal. Gagne controls in the right circle for Lomo. Now Byron Lomo up on left wing at center for Meitner. Skated off by Tutt. Skid to the New Haven zone. Coming across for it on the right boards, Germain. Sending it to center. Corralled on the left side by Shedden. Rinkwad on right wing for Gagne. Now Wayne Gagne hits the New Haven line. Along the right wing boards for Lomo with a high drive over the glass into the crowd. No further play. A break in the action. 6:43 left. New Haven 5, the Jacks 3 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network. Now from the faceoff, Ferris chased in behind the goal by the surrounding Chuck Brimmer and Doug Shedden, but covering up is Denny LaRock, the trailer. Now LaRock up on right wing in his own line for Kelly. Rinkwad in left wing at center for Bob Kadelski in full flight. He hits the ball toward line. Right in front for Klimo with a shot, sprawling to the ice, and Bannerman pounces on top of that one. No further play. And the rookie from Brown, Steve Klimo, seemed to be handcuffed with that centering pass, and he just seemed to fall over in front of Bannerman. And while he was sprawling forward in the direction of Bannerman, he tried to propel one behind the Jacks netminder, but with that huge wingspan, Bannerman spread out and smothered it. Jacks have been limited to only 2 shots on goal in this third period. New Haven with the only 2 goals in the period. They've outshot the Jacks 6-2. From the faceoff, Doug Shedden at his own line. From center circle, drifts it into the New Haven left corner. Covering up is LaRock. His pass seized in the corner by Brimmer. Back to the left point for Albrecht with a shot. Deflected by Seguin. Scores! Steve Seguin. Jacks trail 5-4. The Jacks are back in business with 6:02 remaining. The point shot, and Steve Seguin was parked about 4 feet in front of the crease, and with a textbook design deflection, he just guided it behind goaltender Bob Janisic. Seguin's 10th goal of the campaign, and that's his first in 5 games. Cliff Albrecht and Chuck Brimmer the assist. Seguin and Brimmer each with a goal and an assist tonight. And suddenly the Jacks are back in business. They've halted the hemorrhaging after 4 unanswered New Haven goals. From the faceoff, Julian really rocks Frazier in the Baltimore right circle. Back on the Jacks. Perkins springing to center. Terry Perkins over the New Haven line, pulls up on the left wing boards. Jolted there by Tutt. Perkins maintains control. He was really drummed to the ice though at the top of the circle by Frazier, who rolls it into the Baltimore zone. Streaking after it, McDonough. Right in front for DeFazio with a shot. What a save by Bannerman. Bannerman clears to the line. No, could not catch up with that one, but covering behind the goal is Julian. On right wing, Chris played his own line for Armstrong in the middle at center for Perkins at the New Haven line. Backhands right corner for Gagne, tearing in. Wayne Gagne behind the goal, rolled it to the doorstep. Nudged away by Janisic and fired off the stick of Armstrong at the right point to center for Krikuski. Over the Baltimore line, muscled by Deneen, who really thumped him. Puck back to center zone. Skipjacks crowd aroused. Now the Rock on right wing at center. Steers it to the side of the goal. Bannerman will control it, angling it up on right wing at his own line for Armstrong. Past him to the New Haven line. Covering Farish on left wing at center for Kadelski, and that one danced off his stick and disappears in the crowd at center ice. No further play. A break in the action. 4:32 left. New Haven 5, the Jacks 4 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network. Now back to the play at the Baltimore line. Chuck Brimmer on left wing at center. Over the New Haven line for Seguin. Right circle for Shedden, and his shot was muffled by Siltova. Back comes New Haven. On left wing at center, Sean Trikuski. Over the Baltimore line for the Rock, who streaks in behind the goal. He centers it to the crease. Bannerman knocked it away at the last instant with Krikuski streaking by the doorstep. Here's Duncanson in front with a shot at Bannerman, the save. Rebound behind the goal for Seguin. 3:54 left. Seguin dishes right boards for Kennedy, and Bob Kennedy just drove it into New Haven territory. Jacks are changing. Now Denny LaRock chased in behind the goal by Shedden, who's had a strong effort tonight. Now LaRock on left wing at his own line for Duncanson. In the middle at center for spinning Paul Kelly, who drove it in on goal. Bannerman directs it behind the goal for Julian on right wing at his own line for Shedden. Up the boards at center for Lomo, halted by Klimo, who drove it back behind the Jacks goal. Rounding the net with it on the left side is Claude Julian. Julian's pass stolen at the line by Climo with a shot. Blocked by Albrecht, who really drummed Climo to the ice. Puck to the Jacks' right boards. Fired down ice by Lomo. Claimed on the left side on the defense by Tutt. His pass seized at center by Perkins. Over the New Haven line on the right boards for Lomo. He couldn't reach that. Tutt was there. Now Brian Tutt sends Kadelsky streaking to center. Bob Kadelsky over the Baltimore line. He's right in on goal. The backhander. Bannerman the save. Rebound controlled right circle by the Jacks. Albrecht clears to the line. That was blocked by Climo, but Albrecht will recover it left side of the goal with 2:47 left. Albrecht on right wing at center for Terry Perkins, shooting right on. Janisic guides it in behind the goal for DeFazio. Dean DeFazio leads on left wing in his own line for Praisler at center for Hubie McDonough. He darts it over the Baltimore line. Drove it in behind the goal for DeFazio. Bannerman is there, undercut by DeFazio, who breezed by. But Bannerman controls it for Lomo on left wing in his own line for J.F. Noel. Muscled off the puck at center and sent crashing into the Baltimore bench as the door opened by Peter Praisler. But controlling is Perkins. Over the New Haven line for Brimmer. He was drummed to the ice by DeFazio robustly. Here's Gagne over the line. Right side for Brimmer with a shot, and he fired it wide. But I think the whistle had sounded. I don't think too many people heard it, including yours truly, as the Skipjack crowd is beginning to roar with 2:04 left. The Steve Seguin goal from Albrecht and Brimmer at 13:58. Just 1:49 after Hubie McDonough's second goal of the night, which is the difference at the moment, has brought the Skipjacks back within striking distance. 2:04 for regulation time, 5-4 New Haven. Jacks are 2-11 in one-goal games this season. All ready to go. Face-off outside the New Haven line. We'll be watching goaltender Murray Bannerman as to when he's lifted for a sixth attacker by GM coach Gene Ubriaco. It'll be Chuck Brimmer with a goal and an assist tonight for the Jacks, opposing Mike Siltala on the face-off. And this Skipjack crowd is really coming alive. From the face-off, Mike Siltala storms to center at the Baltimore line. Fired! And Sean Denis makes that one disappear with a deflection into the crowd. No further play. 1:55 left for regulation time in this third period. New Haven with a total of 9 shots, and the Skipjacks with a mere 4. The Jacks have been outscored in the third period in their last 7 games, including this game here tonight, 16-3. All ready to go for the face-off, barely inside the Skipjack blue line. Won by Silta at the center red line. Dave Farish on left wing. Rifled it in behind the Baltimore goal. Gagne to cover. Now Wayne Gagne will start out in the middle at center, leading for Doug Shedden, who hits the New Haven line. Shooting blocked on the defense by Farish. Poked back to center by Duncanson. Brimmer from center circle. Sweeps it in behind the New Haven goal. Digging in after it is Farish. In pursuit is Shedden. He loses the Shedden check. And Farish from his own left corner just flings it down ice. Albrecht hurries after it behind the goal with 1:23 left. Albrecht right up the middle at center for Steve Seguin. Seguin right wing barges in over the New Haven line. Right in front for Brimmer with a shot, and he fired it wide. Rebound right point for Gagne with a shot, and he fired it wide. Rebound on right wing for Krakuski, dashing to center for New Haven. Sean Krakuski at the Baltimore line, shoots. Albrecht deflects it in the right corner. Duncanson digs in after it behind the goal with a minute left. Duncanson overpowered from behind by Brimmer, a minute left. Doug Shedden barrels to center. Over the New Haven line, the drop pass for Perkins. Shooting blocked in front by Tutt, who clears the zone. Control by the Jacks. Gagne at center over the New Haven line on right wing for J.F. Noel, and he's offside on that cross-ice pass. No further play. 44 seconds remaining. Murray Bannerman is above and between the circles in front of his own goal. He was watching to be lifted for the sixth attacker by Coach Gene Ubriaco, but that did not eventuate for the Jacks, who could not maintain nor retain puck control, especially deep in New Haven territory. Skipjacks general manager coach Gene Ubriaco will spend his 30-second timeout, and he is designing a play right now on the clipboard for all the watchful eyes of his 6 attackers. Stay tuned with the Skipjacks postgame show right after tonight's action. The Jacks have won only once in 18 games this season against Northern Division opposition, and that victory was produced against this New Haven team in the last meeting between the two rivals back the night after Christmas on December 26th, when the Jacks that night demolished the Hawks 7-3. The home team has prevailed in all three of the previous meetings between these two rivals. Entering tonight, the Hawks lead the series 2-1. They're unbeaten in their last 3 starts. Jacks are winless in their last 6, though they've tied their last 2 both on the road, and the Jacks are in the throes of a 3-game losing streak on home ice, coming on the heels of their longest unbeaten streak of the season at home, which consisted of 3 games, 2 wins, and a tie. Face-off barely outside the Skipjack blue line. Once the Jacks have control, Bannerman sure to streak to the bench for the 6th attacker. 44 seconds remaining. From the face-off, Dave Farish will curl back for it to his own line on the left defense, and he just sails it into Skipjack territory. Claude Julien covers up behind the goal, 34 seconds left. Now Julien up on left wing at his own line for Brimmer. In the middle at center for Seguin, firing it in behind the goal. Bannerman streaks to the bench. Now Janisic out of the goal, drove it around the right boards for Siltala. Siltala's pass knocked down at the line by Julien. Julien right in front for Shedden. Didn't make it there. Blocked by McDonough. On left wing at center for Siltala. Siltala with the ball to the line, shoots and scores. Mike Siltala into the empty net, and New Haven will clinch it 6-4 with 10 seconds left. Mike Siltala obtained in a trade from the New York Rangers 3 weeks ago, with the Los Angeles Kings immediately dispatching him to New Haven, and he strikes, and for Siltala, his 6th goal and his 12th point in only 9 games, and New Haven with 3 third-period goals will defeat the Jacks tonight, and the Jacks' winless skid will reach 7 in a row, and their 4th straight loss at home.
New Haven goal scored by number 15, Mike Siltala.
From the faceoff, Bob Kennedy on right wing at center, just rolls it to the New Haven line as the horn sounds, and this hockey game is over. A rather disappointing conclusion to this.